Having a conversation with me?
Yeah, probably some divergent opinions on this subject, I feel.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm excited for that. What's happening, party people? Welcome to Punchboard Party. My name is Daniel. This is Father Greg, and we are having a discussion about organizing your board game components. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about when you get a board game and you're punching out all the pieces.
Yep.
The box might come with baggies, it might not, depending on what kind of a deadbeat publisher you're buying the game from.
True story.
And so, we're talking about what is proper. Are you bothered by people shoving a lot of different components in the same baggie? We're not going to point fingers at anybody or anything.
Yeah, we definitely are. Yeah.
But I'm excited to talk about this, because this is something that you and I do think differently about. Mm-hmm. And it's always something that comes up after we play games together and we're putting the game away. There's always some sort of comment made about what's going on. Like, why am I doing the things I'm doing, putting my game away, or vice versa.
Right.
And this topic was really sparked anew for us when Father Dan gave us a copy of Gigopolis to add to the Punchboard library.
Yeah.
And he does something, it might not be super unique, but it's unique to me, where he labels all of his baggies with the components that belong in that baggie. So he uses a Sharpie, and he puts the label on the baggie, and he puts the certain things. And so then, when you're getting things out, and the game he gave us also came with the expansion, and so that was really handy, because it was like, expansion pieces. Mm-hmm. So I could just put all those baggies off to the side as I was getting, okay. But I ran into some difficulties. I ran into some things of wondering, do I actually like this? Mm-hmm. Is this too meticulous for me? Is this how I like to organize my games after I'm putting it away? I don't know. And so I thought we would bring it to the table and we would talk about this issue.
Sure. So
Father Greg, give us a little overview. What are you looking for in component organization? What are some things that come to mind? Initial thoughts.
Yeah, so I think I'm a bigger fan of inserts than you are.
Yes.
I definitely enjoy, a good insert. Now, I say a good insert because... That being said, there's nothing more frustrating than putting stuff into an insert, and you arrive at your game night, and you open up the box, and there's just pieces everywhere. Because that insert has not held everything, unless you have held it at an exact horizontal plane for the entirety of its existence. The moment it shifts at like 20 degrees, everything is gone.
And for some reason, we all insist on putting our games on shelves sideways.
That's right. Exactly. It's true. Which makes for a big problem.
That's right.
But every once in a while, you do get a company that like purposefully designs, puts great effort into an insert. This whole company, TRAYZ, that like specialize about it these days. I really enjoy their inserts. I find most of the time they're pretty standout. But so that's my like preferred preference. That's like if I had to choose, how do I want my game organized? I want to like open up my box and have everything in its own little compartment. And sometimes even the compartments will say, like, put your, like maybe they'll have words or something's just like an icon or whatever, but it's like, it's clear that, like, my tiles go in there. Another thing, sometimes I open up an insert and there's just like a space. It's like, what am I supposed to put in there? Like, I try to put all these tiles in there, but they don't all fit. It's like, they're like too big. So I'll have to find another place for all these tiles to go, or maybe they have to be placed in such a like neat manner that you can't just like kind of throw them all in because then it gets too big for its britches. And
I struggle with inserts. Mm-hmm. Here's how I struggle with inserts. I don't like them.
Sure.
I've never met an insert that I've liked. The TRAYZ inserts or of that style are decent because they have a lid. Mm-hmm. Inserts with a lid, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because even if things get out of place, they don't seem to shift nearly as much, and if they do shift, they're kind of close to where they need to go, and you can just kind of tuck them back, open up the thing, and they're not everywhere and everywhere. So it's like, okay, that's okay. But there's lots of games, there's plenty of games with inserts where the inserts just don't work. And by the time you put everything back in, the box lid is half off the thing.
Right.
But I can't bring myself to throw out the insert because I'm also a bit of it was designed to be like this, so I don't want to like take that away. And if I'm going to trade the game away later or resell it, like I don't want to get rid of the insert. Not that it really matters, but some people might care. Right. I don't know. So I have actually, right here, I have two inserts in my basement that I took out of the game boxes because they just weren't. This is Lords of Hellas and Dogs of War.
Wow.
And so I took these out, but I can't bring myself to get rid of them either. So they just sit in my basement for when I want to put them back in their boxes. So I struggle with this quite a bit. Quite a bit. I see the appeal of inserts and why you would do that, but like I consistently find myself with inserts, especially inserts that have places for decks of cards.
Right.
I consistently find myself putting those decks of cards in baggies, then putting them into the insert.
Right.
And I've had great success with that. It by and large fits. It's a little bit like bubbly. The rule book kind of, wobbles on the top. But then I don't have loose cards sliding off the top. Because inevitably with an insert, no matter how good it is, if the insert is designed... There's been better inserts where they designed for the decks of cards to go in sideways. That's better. But for a long time, the inserts were designed to put your deck face down. And inevitably, the top 5 cards or so just kind of...
Especially once you've used them. A used deck of cards is bigger than an unused deck of cards that's just outside of its shrink wrap.
So that's a bit of that's just a mess. So my preference, if I could just do what I wanted and didn't have guilt about throwing out the insert, baggies, empty box.
That's it.
So my favorite games, component wise and organization wise, are Terra Mystica. That's just a big empty box with a bunch of baggies and components. That's my preferred way to go. Badoku, same kind of thing. Just a big empty box, bunch of baggies. That's all I need. I don't need you to tell me little slots and things for me to put my things into. Just that. Now, what are your thoughts on Father Dan's little strategy of individually labeling each of these component baggies? Yeah,
so I don't do this, but sometimes I wish I did. Because one of the problems I have with baggies is the game. So a game often comes with baggies in it. I'm not talking about games that ship you empty bags. I'm just talking about a game often arrives with pieces in bags as a result of its just default printing factory condition. So a lot of times you end up with default bags. And then sometimes the publisher will throw in a handful of extra bags.
And I couldn't love you more for it.
That's right.
Couldn't love you more for it.
That's right. Except for, I don't know what those bags are for. And especially when I open up a game, I have no idea what this game is. So I'm punching out the pieces, I'm kind of looking at the rule book, and usually what I do is I open up that first page of the rule book, and it's got kind of the table of contents. It kind of tells you what's in the game. It tells you there's 64 of these pieces, and there's 10 of these, and there's 2 per player here, and so on. So I try to figure out from there what should be in each plastic bag. But then sometimes there's 5 bags. And there's upwards of 40 different kinds of pieces. And I'm just well, what is supposed to go into what bag? Okay? Right. Sometimes, for example, let's say you have a game that has yellow houses and yellow meeples and yellow tokens. You can assume, those are probably all for the yellow player. Right. So, but they often come in 3 separate bags. Right? Yes, but then you're well, do I take all 3 of those out of their individual bags and put them into one bag? So that's the yellow player pieces. And then now, that's all set. And then I take the purple out and put them into there and the red out. But, now I've only got 3 bags and I've got the blue player pieces and they don't have a bag to go into. Right. So now what do I do?
That's right.
I just wish, if publishers... It sometimes seems when publishers put extra bags in, they just, haphazardly throw them in. There's not a clear delineation of how many bags are we putting in? Is there a purpose for why we're putting in bags?
So on this front, what I find is the baggie size.
Yes.
The extra baggies are not this size is way too big for everything.
That's right.
Why did you give me I have a big Ziploc bag now of baggies.
Yep.
So when I open up a new game and they didn't give enough baggies or whatever, I go and I rifle through it and find some stuff. I have so many oversized baggies.
Yes.
I'm just looking for that standard kind of medium bag size.
Right.
That often player pieces come in or whatever. But that's a good size.
Yep.
I might need a little larger for a deck of cards or whatever, but by and large, That's what I'm looking for. But then typically it's this.
They give you a big one that fits like almost a book in it.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't need this.
Or you get like they come with a bag that was shipped to the factory and it's got one player piece in it, and the bag is like without a jout, like this big. And it's
I have
like
a lot of tiny bags
That's
too.
right.
Yes.
So many bags that are just like so small.
Yeah, so the bag sizes are frustrating because there's a lot of bag sizes that are useless. Mm-hmm. And there's tons of them out there.
That's right.
It's like if you just gave the standard like baggy size, I could put a few pieces in that baggy size and be like, okay, yeah, I mean that's a little too big for it, but it's fine. Mm-hmm. I don't need as many tiny baggies as they give you.
Right.
Here's where we come to the crux of the inspiration for this video. Mm-hmm. Father Dan's idea, while nice, frustrated me.
Tell me about that.
There's a point of frustration. And it has to do with baggie size. Okay? So he has all of, black player color pieces, orange player color pieces. And all those baggies are the same size. Mm-hmm. So I'm going through and I'm finding them and I'm putting things away and da-da-da. He had the pink player color pieces in a bigger bag than all the other player color pieces.
Sure.
So I was looking for a baggie the size of all the other player color pieces forever. I was like, no, I saw that before. Right. No, that's not it. Until I finally saw this other baggie, totally different size over there, that said pink color player piece. Mm-hmm. So what I realized, and what I like to do, and this is where Father Greg cringes. So I like to have my board games organized, but I'm not too concerned about how organized they are. And so what I'm doing at the end of the game night is I'm trying to put all the pieces and components into baggies in such a way that when I take it out the next time, it just makes sense. The movement of bringing those components onto the table makes sense. So if I have 4 different resources, and they're all cardboard chits, so like food and money and whatever else. Yep. If I know that they're just going to sit on the table next to each other in 4 different piles, and I have no problem putting the money and the food in the same bag together.
Do this. How do you live with yourself at night?
I have no problem doing that because I know that all that means is just I dump out that bag onto the table, and somebody who cares, while I'm explaining the rules, is going to separate those out into 2 distinct piles. So I don't have to worry about that. So that's what I'm going on about. So when I'm organizing and looking, I like having just baggies available, and people are saying, so which goes in what? And I'm like, it doesn't really matter, just like, follow your heart, because it usually works out okay. So I like the freedom with the labeling of the baggies. There's a time delay in looking for the baggie, looking for the corresponding piece, and matching them together. Whereas when I don't have them labeled, I can just grab a bag, it works good enough, I can put components in there, away we go.
Unless you're stuck at the end with one small bag and one giant
Then in that case, which often happens, you just make the switch you need to make. And you ditch the little bag. That's why I have so many little baggies. I'm always ditching the little bag and I forgot what it went into.
As much as I can, like say, if I'm looking at the inside of the board game manual and it has like 20 different things and they're all like 20 different things, like if possible, I will put them in like 20 different bags.
Wow, see, like I can't, I just like, why?
Like, yeah, no, why not? Because then like it's just clear. It's like, well, because here's your gold, here's your food.
And typically what I do, so say there's 4 different resources, I'm just like 2 for 2 for 2 or whatever. Like if there's 6 or,
It's just handy, man.
You should do a review of one of my games.
Right.
Like a component organization review.
One of my worst for this is actually Journeys to Middle-earth. Because Journeys to Middle-earth comes with like all these cards.
Okay.
But like they need to be like, so thankfully like all those little bags that I collected, because they are quite small cards.
Yes.
I have put, there are probably hundreds of plastic bags in that box. Okay. Because I've got like all of like Gimli's cards in one little bag, all of like Legolas's cards in one little bag, all of the Hunter cards in one little bag, all of the Pathfinder cards in one little bag, and there's like a ton of these.
Yes.
And so they're all just like, I've got so many little bags. But it helps me in terms of being able to like set up the game. Instead of like having this giant deck and having to like read through and be like, oh, I need to find all of the Pathfinder cards,
Right.
Out of the mix of this.
Yeah.
The worst offender for me was Subdivision.
Yeah, they're the worst. And King Ludwig too.
But that one, like, it's just cardboard. Like, you open the thing up and there's just punch board after punch board.
No. That's what I mean about Castle Mech and Ludwig.
And not a single bag in sight.
Yeah.
And,
For
the longest time, like, it's just like, Subdivision was like, not one of the first board games I bought, but like, before I'd amassed a large collection of plastic bags.
Right.
So for a long time, the box was just a box full of cardboard tiles.
Amazing.
Just scattered everywhere in the middle of it.
Okay, I randomly took Stone Age off the shelf.
Yeah.
And we're just going to take... I haven't opened Stone Age in a while.
Yeah.
So we're just going to take a look at what state it was left in.
Good job.
Good. Oh, no!
That's alright. Rulebook's fine. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so rulebooks and player aids. Okay. Now we got the player
Rulebook,
boards.
now, see, you tend to go rulebook on top.
Yeah.
I see some people, when they have a flat surface, like to put the rulebook on top of the flat surface.
Yes. So I put the rulebook on top. But yes, I have seen recently, like Dave does this.
Right, like even at the bottom sometimes I've seen people put the rulebook.
Rulebook at the bottom makes sense to me. Okay,
so that,
we got the board. So we got some player boards. We got the board.
Right.
Rulebook may or may not have been in the right place.
Right.
So that's debatable.
Question mark, yeah.
So now this comes with a weird kind of X insert. Like
the cheapest insert you can imagine. Like the...
Okay, so I have the dice cup.
Yeah.
And the dice in a baggie in the cup.
Wow.
Okay.
You got victory point chips or...
Food.
These are all food?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
So they're all food of different types.
But different types. Do you need to like sort through those?
So no, you just kind of make a pile of food, like it's like currency.
Okay, okay, that's fine. Now here you've got all the colors, but they're all in one.
Yes.
One bag.
Yes.
So you're playing
all the player colors in one bag. So okay, so this is what happens, right? We go and we open it up, and I'm just saying, hey, we're gonna play Stone Age. It's gonna be great. And then we just take a little bit of time and.
Well, why are you taking that time?
Right. Well, okay, because...
Why not just put all the red pieces and be like, hey, you're red, here's your bag.
But
deal with it yourself, you peasant.
Peasant. Amazing. Okay, so that's something. And then I did the same thing with the resources.
Yeah, all your resources just in one bag.
Yeah.
What happens if I'm looking for a stone, man? What am I going to do? I'm going to sort through this mess?
Well, you're going to have to anyway, because otherwise you're opening up 4 different bags.
Yeah.
And dumping them out onto the same table.
Yeah.
Why not open up one bag and dump it all on the same table?
Because then they're all in nice 4 different piles.
Yeah, it doesn't take long for those to get into 4 nice piles.
Just an animal.
And then we got the hut tiles in a bag.
Makes sense.
And we got the cards in a bag.
Now tiles, that's where I prefer an insert. Like tiles fit into an insert, generally speaking, quite nicely.
Okay, so I'm getting a little criticism then for having all the resources and all the player colors in one bag.
I would tend to separate them. With Stone Age, it's not the worst thing because it's just one type of player resource. But like when yellow has like a number of different pieces, like even from the factory, I don't get why they don't put all the yellow pieces in one tile.
Yeah,
like when it comes from the factory, I've got yellow meeples and yellow huts, and they're in different bags.
Yeah, so I think actually that's what happened here, is that all of the player pieces just came in one bag. So I just kept.
You just left
that
it like
going.
that. Yeah.
All right, party people, your turn to weigh in on this conversation. Let us know down below how you organize your game components, what your preferences are for how you use your baggies, or if you like inserts or you take the inserts out. We would love to know. And please like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment a lot. It helps. It all helps. Until next time, party people.
Have a nice, neatly organized day.